Hello, my name's Daniel, and I am currently working as a junior neurosurgical registrar and ultimately to become a neurosurgeon. I was sort of an only child and was from sort of a single parent family, and when I was growing up, it was sort of tough for a couple of years. In that we didn't have a lot. My family didn't have a lot of money when we were growing up. There was a period where my mum was working 2 jobs just to make ends meet, and money was a constant worry in my school years. I enjoyed studying. I enjoyed learning about new things, and in particular, I really enjoyed learning about science and learning about how the body works, from the molecules interacting to the cells, to the entire organs, and how that sort of functioning can be sort of disturbed in disease. And that is really what initially prompted me to think about going to medical school and becoming a doctor. And so my school was very good in that they arranged a couple of days in the local hospital where you could go into clinics and go on the wards and meet sort of practicing doctors at different stages in their career. So you could meet junior doctors, but also very senior doctors who'd finished their training. And I spoke to them, and that sort of really set it in my mind that this is something I want to pursue, and sort of picked all science subjects for my AS levels, because it's what I enjoyed, and studied hard for that. And it was tough going. I won't lie. I remember when I was applying to go to university, I applied to go to Cambridge, and Cambridge have a slightly separate application form where you've got to do an additional personal statement and say why you want to go there and why you want to study medicine there. And I remember my uncle was helping me out with this application form, and it was getting quite late in the evening, and it sort of needed to be in the next day. And I was saying, I just can't do this anymore. I don't know what to write on this form. No one I knew had sort of been to Cambridge before, so they couldn't help me with that. And I was thinking, am I writing the right things? Even if I do write the right things, am I going to be sort of good enough to go there? And there's one thing that my uncle sort of said to me that has really stuck with me since. He says, what have you got to lose by doing this? And the answer is nothing, really. And so I finished that personal statement and got my application form in. Had my doubts initially, I wasn't particularly hopeful at all that I was going to get in, but then when the letter arrived and I opened it up and it said that I'd been successful, as well as being sort of crazily happy, it reminded me of what my uncle said, and that you should sort of never give up, and if it's something that you want to do, just go for it. My medical training was split, so my first 3 years were in Cambridge, and that was great. It really was an incredible experience. I sort of spent a week with the neurosurgery team, and it became quickly clear to me like this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. It's what I went into medicine for in terms of the sort of knowledge that they have, and using that knowledge to treat diseases of the brain and the spine is something I really found fascinating. And after the end of medical school, there's something called the foundation program, which is where you work for 2 years, and in those 2 years you rotate through sort of different specialties in medicine and surgery, and normally you'll have spent half your time on a medical job and half your time on surgery, but there's also attachments in other things such as general practice, sort of psychiatry, or even things like pathology or even radiology. My foundation program, so I did a year in London, so I'd been in London for about 4 years at this point, so I was sort of a full Londoner by this point, and the second year I went out to Essex, which is a place I thought I'd never ever end up, but that sort of shows you never know where life will take you. And sort of after those 2 years, I knew that I wanted to apply to do neurosurgery, and there's sort of a national selection, and they run it every year, and I sort of applied and was sort of initially unsuccessful in that national selection, which was something I was as disappointed about. But I knew what I wanted to do, so I looked for sort of jobs in neurosurgery around the country, and then this job came up in Manchester. So I moved up to Manchester to start this job as an SHO in neurosurgery, and have been in Manchester now for sort of about 2.5 years, and sort of in that time have been moved up from SHO to junior registrar, and I'm very, very happy here. I think it sort of serves to show that even if you feel that life has thrown you a bad one and you get a disappointment, that things can often work out, and you're not always too sure which way your career will take you in medicine, but the most important thing is to do what your heart tells you to do, and if there's something that you are really interested in, and a particular specialty that you want to work in, just go for it, and don't let anything stop you from pursuing that dream. I'm very lucky now in that my time is sort of split between research and clinical work in the hospital. So Monday to Friday I'm based at the university, sort of undertaking this PhD project, but then roughly 1 day a week I sort of go to the hospital and do an on-call shift. And I really enjoy it because it's very nice to combine the research and the clinical work, and they complement each other very nicely, in that the research sort of teaches you about critical thinking and sort of new ways to think how to solve problems, and I use that in my sort of clinical practice when I'm there 1 day a week, or sort of the occasional weekends that I have to work in the hospital. When I go into the hospital and I see patients suffering from these illnesses, and sadly brain cancer is one of these things in which the prognosis remains very, very poor, despite many, many years of research. That really sort of stimulates me to sort of go on and help sort of focus my mind on the research, and this is what the end goal is, to try and make things better for these unfortunate people. The thing I would say to my mum is thank you. Thank you for all the support that you gave me over the years. I know things were very tough for many years, and in that time you worked incredibly hard to make sure that I was always well looked after, and there was food on the table, and I had sort of clothes and could go to school, etc. And I know that things weren't easy, and maybe at the time sort of I didn't fully appreciate how hard it was, but I think that sort of me getting into university, me surviving university, and sort of surviving my first couple of years as a doctor, you've always been there for me, and you've always been there as a point of support, and that I could call you at any time, and you'd always give me very helpful advice, and sort of to push me on and say, well, you've come this far, sort of what's stopping you from going further, and for that I really just want to say thank you. I'm trying to think, what was the exact question again? Hold on, let me go back. I think I'll restart that. Let me think. What did I say last time? Just say I made it. Is that? Does it have to be really enthusiastic? Okay. I made it.